afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. The meeting has been called to order at 5 p.m. We'll take a moment of silence and followed by the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're now open for public comment, and Claire, can you read your statement, please?
Yes. Public comment periods will be held at the beginning of the scheduled meeting and limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each person desiring to speak shall clearly state their name and will have a maximum of 3 minutes to make his or her remarks. A speaker may not speak more than once during the same public comment period, and unused time may not be yielded to another speaker. To avoid repetition, groups of individuals who expect to have the same or similar comments are encouraged to select a spokesperson to speak on their behalf. Public comment is not intended to require the board to answer any impromptu questions. The board should refrain from engaging in dialogue, except to the extent necessary to clarify the speaker's position. The board shall not entertain questions from the audience, and discussions between speakers and members of the audience shall be prohibited. Speakers shall maintain proper decorum and shall make their comments in a civil manner. Personal attacks and use of obscene and profane language are prohibited. Speaker comments should be limited to subjects that are within the board's jurisdiction. Action on items brought up during the public comment period will be at the discretion of the board.
Okay. Any comments?
Long time no see. Elizabeth Longman, addressing the board on the recent or the last hearing at the State Board of Elections. A very unfortunate misunderstanding took place. Despite this, I want to acknowledge the unwavering integrity and dedication of Chair Alison Fenderson, who has consistently demonstrated a commitment to fairness and transparency in her role. Her character and leadership have remained unshakable, and I appreciate her continued service to the community and to this board, and we look forward to having her as we go into our presidential election, and I hope to see everyone come out and vote.
Thank you. Any other comment? Okay.
So the next item are the minutes from October 12th. Everybody should have a copy of them. This is the same as was emailed, but if you still need a minute to review them now, you may, and when you're satisfied, a motion to approve would be in order.
I move to approve the previous meeting's minutes.
Second. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No,
All right.
All right, so the main point of our business today is our early voting worker appointments. So I emailed everybody the list. That includes poll workers that have worked in the past, poll workers appointed and suggested by the parties, as well as unaffiliated workers that have worked in the past. There are a lot on that list. Not every one of them will work because of the fact that we want to appoint everybody in the system, but they have not yet signed up for training. So not everybody on this list has already signed up for training. If they don't train, then they're not going to work. But we want to make sure we have a bigger pool to reach out to and have more options as far as workers go. So this is everybody who is currently set up in the system and those appointed by the parties. There is one change to that list that I just received a little bit ago. We had mentioned one of our election workers we received complaints about during the primary. The party chair has withdrawn that name from the list. So it's still on your paper copy, but that has been removed, and that is Mr. William Sneed. So if there's any questions about the list, let me know. Hopefully you guys had a chance to look at it prior to today. If not, you can certainly look through and review it now. Again, once you're satisfied, then a motion to approve this list. Once we do get training out of the way and get the schedule set up, the actual schedule of who's going to be working what day, the party balances, you guys will have access to that as well as the party chairs. So that information will be shared with everybody once training has been completed.
I have a question.
Yes.
When is the training starting?
The training starts that last full week of September. And I'm sorry I don't have the calendar right in front of me.
23rd.
Thank you, the 23rd to the 28th. So it runs from Monday till that Saturday.
Thank you. One other question.
Yes.
Give me too much time. One of the questions that I had was after training and after assignment, will we be able to see the assignment sheets?
Yes, you will. Yeah, that's the list I was saying I would share with the board and the party chairs as well.
Thank you.
I move to approve the list as presented.
My second.
Is there any other discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Students, are we going to be able to use students?
Yes.
Okay.
I know Andrea is reaching out to the high schools to get out there in the next few weeks, do some presentations, and we will have some student assistants. Student assistants can't be keyed in the system like an election worker, so that I'll have to give that list to you guys separately.
And in Johnsonville, it looks like we don't have a Republican judge there. It looks like there's 2 Democrats.
We usually, I don't have a list in front of me, but we
Okay.
usually have to move. Renee was the Republican judge in that precinct. I think she has pulled, so we have to find a replacement for her currently. And I will go ahead and point out, unless there was a change in that list, last time I looked through, there was no Republicans in East Avisboro, so we're gonna have to shuffle some. Once we do the assignments, we'll shuffle some from some close by precincts into that precinct to have a balance of Democrats and Republicans.
So even though they're listed under a precinct,
That's their home precinct, is what they're listed.
but we're just appointing them just in general. and then we'll
Yes,
see
so this is
later.
for early voting, so it'll be at one of the 4 early voting locations.
I guess maybe this is time. I read those 165 pages of comments that were sent, and especially when there was a narrative.
Mhm.
It looks like it's sometimes a conflict between assistants and chief judges.
Mhm.
Chief judges are supposed to run the precinct, but not necessarily with an iron fist all the time.
Yes.
And that was kind of what I detected in there. And there were some clashes, obviously, and most people just, check their product. Did y'all, was I wrong?
And that is something that we're going to address. Like I had mentioned during the last meeting, there's several things, especially when we do our judge training, that we're going to talk about, such as, you have to obey the rules, you have to make sure your staff does what they need to do, but you don't need to be so strict. But also other things, such as, I think one of the comments was the layout of the room. And, as long as they keep that circular flow, it doesn't have to be exactly this, and this in that order, but we want the sites to be as similar as possible. So there's a lot of things from that survey that we're going to address during the training. Again, if any of the board members notice anything in those comments, just highlight it and make sure that we do know to address it. But there's several that we are in discuss.
How do we access those? Did
The
you send it to
survey,
us?
I sent it to you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't print that one because it was 100 and
I think
some,
165.
165 pages, so I emailed it to everybody.
If I didn't see a narrative, I just kept moving, so but when I saw a narrative, I read it.
Yeah. Any other discussion concerning the appointments? All right, I've motioned and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that is all the business that I had to bring before the board. Is there anything else that the board would like to address?
Yeah, I have something in your business. One of the things that, excuse me, one of the things that has come to my attention is the implementation of the changes through 747 and the direction of the county clerks to supply lists of ineligible jurors due to non-citizenship to the Board of Elections. And the suggestion was that it become effective as of July 1st of this year. And first off, I guess my question is, has anything been initiated or implemented and up to this point? Have we contacted the county clerk? Are we calling those names and getting them so we can use them in our registration and ballot process?
So as of right now, those lists are going to the state board, and the state board is handling that. And so they're researching the list with, I guess, the databases that they have access to, and then they would disseminate that information down to the county boards. We have not had any contact with the state board, so I'm under the assumption that means nothing for Harnett County has been submitted to the state board, but as of right now, they're the ones that are handling the maintenance of that list.
That concerns me. It concerns me because I've done a little bit of research on it, and back in November of 2016, there was a similar investigation as to non-citizen registration and voters, and in that regard, there were several people and prosecutions, and the state board actually submitted this information. It's the result of investigations, prosecutions, and outcomes of non-citizen 2016 general election fraud related activity based on information provided by the North Carolina State Board of Elections. Now, this was submitted to the North Carolina Eastern District Federal Court, and that was submitted on February 26, 21. I've paged through this, and rather than reading it all to you, I can let you know that at that time, the North Carolina State Board of Elections identified 700 suspected non-citizen registered in the 2016 federal election. As a result of that, voting, they're charged, those people were identified and charged with voting by alien, which is 18 U.S.C. 611A, and also false claims of U.S. citizenship, 18 U.S.C. 1015F. Now, there were several that exceeded the statute of limitations, which in most federal cases, criminal cases, the statute of limitations is 5 years, which is under 18 U.S.C. 3282. So, in this instance, there's a recommendation. First off, I believe that the responsibility is going to be for each county to contact their individual clerks and get the lists from them. And it's spelled out in detail in the statute. But I'm concerned, knowing that you just received 6,533 voter registrations this last month, which, congratulations. That was great, and that included 1,201 new registrations. And in that regard, I want to compliment our election director, because we received, the board, updates this week regarding the activities of the staff, attending customer service training, multi-partisan team activities and training, printed ballots received for absentees, preparing outgoing absentee envelopes, and processing the above-mentioned voter registrations. I had asked the director to keep us informed on an ongoing basis, because I don't believe once a month meetings is enough to apprise us of the activities. And she said she certainly would do that on a weekly basis, and so that would include a running total of the registrations, and when the voting comes in, the ballots that have come in. We'd like to make sure that we have the right balance in voter and in registration. That's one of the checks that we need to do. So that I appreciate that. But back to the issue that I was discussing, the board has recommended we go back to July 1st of this year. And that doesn't make any sense to me, because the bill was enacted and should have been in place on January 1st of this year, but there were modifications and amendments. And since 2021 until now, July 1st, 2024, there's a long gap. And we're governed by the statute of limitations of 5 years. So at least if we go back 4 years, then we're not wasting anybody's time. And if there are abuses and fraudulent activity, they can be legitimately prosecuted in that period of time. But we've got to identify it. We can't just say, well, before July 1st, there's no problem. After July 1st, we'll check it out. I don't know how to act on it, since Claire says that they're doing it. I'd like to get clearance if we need it for us to do it. I'd like to meet with our county clerk and work out a system so they can pull the information and it can be presented to us here in Harnett County, not in Raleigh. So that's my position on this issue. If anybody has any questions or wants to see the documentation, I've got it here.
Bill, your 747, isn't that still tied up in courts?
No, that's 749.
Okay, so 747 has been implemented.
Yeah, and there have been modifications, but the modifications are regarding list maintenance and non-citizen voting and other issues. I've got a copy of the revised law if you want to see it.
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so the law does require that, what it says is requires the clerk of Superior Court at least semi-annually to communicate information regarding requests to be excused from jury duty on the basis that the person is not a U.S. citizen, if the person is disqualified from jury duty because the person is not a U.S. citizen, to the state board. So it's all going through the state board. We don't have any role in that.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Can you reach out to the state board attorney and tell us what direction, what we can do?
I certainly can see if he has any more directive, but like I said, the directive that we received is the state board's gonna handle that, because they have access to databases that we don't have access to. But I can certainly reach out and see if they have any more clarification details they can pass down to us.
Let me just comment that the information is gathered by the county clerk
It is.
of that county. And it seems foolish to send it up to Raleigh to then have them send it back to us. I'd like to have a direct action. This stuff is going on right now, and it's gonna go on over the next 2 months. And this is the time we have to stay on top of it and act on it. I told you there were 700 prosecutions and problems back the last time it was looked at. So it's not something that's imaginary. And the numbers that we've had in the last reported numbers in North Carolina alone, there have been 488,000 illegal aliens sent into North Carolina, and of that, over 212,000 new students are now being addressed in our schools, and we have to pay for that. That's a big impact on this state. And so I'm concerned with the confusion with the driver's license number and or the last 4 digits, and the explanation that the attorney gave us about 6 months ago regarding the flub, and then also the fact that the board itself, Karen Brinson Bell was testifying in a hearing last month on July the 28th before the Oversight Committee of the legislature. And her comment to several inquiries was, "We're not the citizenship police." Now that was her sworn testimony. To me, that indicates a mindset that I'm really not happy with. I want all citizens to be assured that we have free, fair, and transparent elections by citizens. And so that's why I raised the point, and that's why I think it's something that we should duly consider, and we should handle it within the county. So those are my comments.
Any other comments or business to address?
Well, I've had over the last month several concerns brought to my attention that I referred to the board, the department. And that concern is, and complaint is, folks in my community especially, the marginalized citizens, did not know, they feel like they don't have enough information with what's going on with the new changes with the voter ID, the early voter, when they can vote. And there was mention that the
was kicked out of his home after marrying a young black woman.
Now,
2 years later.
I had that coming from an elected official and a former elected official that wanted to talk to me. They hunted me down and they looked for our information on the website, so we didn't know how to contact you other than person through business. I don't have a problem with my information, phone, contact information on the website. I have no problem with that. But I do feel their concerns should be addressed. One of the things that we're looking at doing is the churches. I have reached out to a couple of denominations that have significantly large amounts of members in voting age and would like to hear what we're doing here in Harnett County to assure that the voting is, no one's intimidated, that is, one of our creed is about being fair and free. But I understand we have the water bill. I understand you're putting information there, but folks over in Dunn, they may not have a water bill from the county. May not
Well,
have
that we
any.
go to the towns too. So it goes in the town, the county water bill.
Right.
But last month I shared with you guys that list of events and outreach.
Right,
So now that we have that fifth position, we're more available for outreach. So if you know people who have these concerns, reach out to us. Andrea's been going out to a lot of locations. We have a lot of events coming up. All they need to do is reach out, and we can certainly try to get somebody out there to those areas. And, you know, especially because if we don't know that there's an area that needs more outreach, we just don't know that. So if they reach out to you, certainly send them to us. Because I know we have probably over 20 things on that list already, so we can certainly go out there,
yeah,
Mr.
I've
Brown.
seen that, I have that. But,
So we can certainly go out there and outreach to any
Yeah, we have
area
that.
in the county.
Janae, is there a community center that could be utilized and then Andrea can go and?
Yeah,
Sure, we
we've
have-
gone to a couple churches too.
Right, and there's,
Well, I mean, outside of churches, but, you know, you said people
Right.
keep, so I know, Riverside, they have a community center, and there's another place,
well, Dunn has one, Cokes has
Yeah.
one. The community center's there, and they would welcome someone from the Board of Election, if not the board, to come and speak to them. This month, there's a Fifth Sunday Union of the denomination I belong to, where all the churches in the area get together. They have asked, and we have talked about going out to me and Jim here, excuse me,
Bill,
Bill,
that's cool.
Bill, and
wrong.
Jim.
That's all right, that's all right.
Okay, but they reached out and they invited us to come out and tell them what's going on with the election board, because they kind of feel like they've been left out for some reason, and that the changes are happening faster than they can keep up with and they want. So this fifth Sunday weekend, something that we'll be doing. Well, I think we should do more of that. We should, with the extra staff we have with these events, how do you reach the marginalized citizens? What do you do for them?
Well, like again, all they have to do is call us. Somebody can call us that is connected to them or is aware of it, and we can reach out and we can go out there on site and do the outreach there. So I mean, we are much more accessible now than we were several years ago when we were only an office of 3 people.
Yeah.
So yeah, just if you are aware of anything or anybody mentions anything to any of the board members or even the public, if they reach out to us, then we can certainly, within reason, get out there. Now, if it's in the middle of early voting, we may be a little bit more strapped because we have all the sites open, but earlier is definitely better than waiting till later, but just let us know.
And that's
And
what
we
I
can
want
certainly
to
get out
do.
there.
To get I wanted to do something like this several months past, but it was hard to kind of bring it all together. But now we're coming up on the election, and this is the only opportunity we'll have this month.
So just, if you want to reach out to Andrea, you could do that, or if there's a person, a contact person within the community or the church, have them reach out to Andrea, we can get something set up.
And I did see you have the sign. in
We do,
Ellington.
we have a lot of the signs are already gone up. Willington, I think, was the first one to get it posted, so we have
Did I see that?
locally throughout. Again, we've got the billboards, we'll have up pretty much
It's right
here
across the
soon, the
street.
website, the newspaper, the water bill, so we're
Yeah.
trying to get every avenue we can. But again, now we have that fifth position, we have more availability to get out in the community, just let us know.
Okay, I want to do
I
that.
want to make a comment when you finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead.
It's an observation. A lot of times, people want to talk to board members, not staff. And whether it's factual or not, we'll have the same information. But it's like they want to talk to, let's make an example, they want to talk to the boss instead of the cashier. Or when you go into a place and you have a question with someone, they want to talk to the manager, or they want to talk to the salespeople. And so with that in mind, about 6 months ago, I think, or more, I had suggested that the board have an outreach program where we go out and have one member of each party, because it's nonpartisan, to speak to groups. Louis and I did that with one of the precincts, and it went over well. We had several legislators there. We had some very interesting questions, and we gave them answers. All nonpartisan. We're just talking to citizens. That's all we're doing. And that's the same concept with the churches that we're talking about. We're concentrating on just giving them information about the process. Not who to vote for, one side or another, that doesn't matter. But the idea is to demystify this process, let them know that they can come in and not be concerned that it's a problem or a big issue. It's something that we do that as citizens. And so I don't really want to limit it just to staff. I offered to go out myself back then. That offer still stays on the table. I'm more than happy to talk to any group of people, anytime, anywhere.
And that, again, is why I gave everybody this spreadsheet the last meeting, so that if you guys are available for any of the events, you know, you can come out to our events as well. But again, you know, the board, if you guys want to break up and do that, it's entirely up to you guys. My only thing that I want to stress is that we make sure that we're all using a uniform,
The same message.
same
Oh, no
message.
question.
Yeah.
Because we don't want things getting this said or that said or
Right.
whatever. As long as we're all using a uniform message, then, you know, the board can do it and we have the resources. The only reason, and there's nothing wrong with the board doing it, it's good to have a staff person there, because if somebody asks you, well, if I mail in my absentee ballot, how long is it gonna take you to mail it to me? You know, there's questions like that the board may not be able to answer right there, so having a staff person is helpful in that manner. But that's certainly not saying that the board can't do it, it's just sometimes there's some pros and cons there.
What about holding like an event that is sponsored by the Board of Election? And did we do something like that when we had the?
We did, and we have one
and
scheduled
break-
coming up, it's
Right,
on that
something like that,
spreadsheet
so
too.
they can, and engage them to ask questions, because really there are folks there that just feel like
Mhm.
they're being left behind
Yeah.
with this.
We have another big Get Out the Vote event scheduled. It's on that spreadsheet I gave you guys last month. And we have the whole area here, and we're gonna have lots of booths, tables, giveaways, drawings again like we did last time. So, yeah, that's all on that spreadsheet as well.
So it's been here, so that's centrally located, right?
Yeah, and like, again, that's gonna be like our big event, but we're still doing other events as well. So we have, we'll be at Ben Haven this coming Saturday at their Family Fun Day, so on that side of the county. We're signed up for all the town festivals, so we'll be at every town festival, coming up this fall. So again, I mean, look at that list, and if you see something we're missing, just let us know, and we can try to get that added in there as well.
One other thing, the information on, past convicted felons, what it would, because I have registered folks that had some issues in the past. And now they can register to vote if they're not on parole. What about the restitution part? Is that clear, that?
No, they don't, the restitution
The
is not.
restitution part don't matter, just as long as they completed everything,
Correct.
including parole.
Correct. And again, that goes on, we have a weekly check with the state board, so if anybody were to be flagged, you could reach out to that voter directly.
Okay.
But most of the time, there's not an issue with that.
Where would someone go to find that information? Let's say if people are out and said, I can't vote, we're talking to folks and said, yeah, you can vote, well, how can I vote? What are we doing to get that message out to people who may fall in that category?
I mean, basically, when we do our outreach events, if somebody comes to us with that question, we can give them that information. We don't have any, so when we do our events, we cover everything.
But they
We
may not-
cover absentees, we cover photo ID, registrations,
Right.
felons, everything, so
But
we
they
don't
may not
have
know
it
to ask
just.
that now. They
we
may not
just-
know to ask that question.
Oh,
And they-
we've had that question asked before, but we haven't had like an event that's just for this one topic.
No, not just this one time.
Mhm.
What are we doing to reach the people who may fall in that category, who don't attend your workshop, and they wanna, where would they go to find that information?
Well, they could find that information from this website. The state board has a whole section about, former felons.
And where would they get that?
Well, they can go to the state board
The
website, or
information.
it links from our website too, so they can go to either of those. And then, of course, if they reached out to us or whatever, we can direct them to that too.
Has anybody else had any comments on that concerns? Anybody else? See, I had.
My little community.
See, I had, like I said, these were real concerns of people who really feel like we should do more.
Yeah, and we've had, like I said, we've had several events where people have asked us that question, so I know if we're there, when we're at a site or we're doing an outreach event, people ask us a lot of questions. So I don't feel like we're ever creating an environment where people are scared to ask questions, because we've always had people ask those things. But I guess I'm just not sure what you want
Well,
as far as more of a direct outreach.
For example,
I'm missing something
yeah, the
here.
local print paper there, whenever there's, it has a community section that I don't see where we're putting information in that community digest. The local radio station, we talked about this, they will give a message for us free. Because all this is well and good if you are in tune with what's the process, you've done it, but there's people out there that are not in tune with this. They're not gonna know, and I brought up to them about, well, we have the meetings online, a lot of folks don't have computers, especially some of the elders, they don't know how to use computers. So, but they will read the obituary and the daily paper, they will do that. So, why can't we have something there, just, did you know, just get information out, disseminate it, because they are asking, that there is concern there. And as I said, I don't mind my information, contact information on published, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Mhm.
They came to the business and talked about this, we had a good little conversation.
So just have them, just reach out to us and we can get out there with that.
How difficult would it be to put this in that information section in the paper?
I'd have to look at it, because I don't know what the do you know section is of the paper, so I'll get with, the
Well, they
daily
have
record
said
and see
several
what they
times
have.
that if they get it, they will run it, because that's what it's for.
Mhm.
That's what it's there for.
Well, we post our ads in the paper and we have to pay for them.
Right,
I know
Daily
the Daily
Digest.
Digest, but I don't know that they do like a do you know section, Daily Digest, so I just gotta reach out to them, that's not an issue.
Yeah, I just think it
See what
should
they have.
be visible, and people see.
Yeah.
Information. A lot of folks, like I said, they will read the obituary paper, to see if, some friends. That's all I had.
Alright, anyone have a need for a closed session?
No, I have nothing to bring forward today.
I'm talking about closed session.
No, it was just if needed.
Oh, okay.
Alright,
Alright,
so our next meeting will be October 1st at 5:00 p.m. That's our next regular meeting. And then just go ahead and remember, we'll be meeting every Tuesday after that for our absentees.
Tuesdays with Claire.
Tuesdays with Claire and Shannon.
I will be at another conference, a nonprofit board that had a conference, so I
On the
will not be
first.
here on the first.
Okay, that's fine. All right, and so with that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned at 5:40.